Today I'm going to be ranking all of the Stardew Valley villagers, and I'm just going to start off by saying that this is only supposed to be a bit of fun. If I put one of your favorite villagers in the wrong place, leave me a comment, but don't get too angry as it's only supposed to be a bit of fun and it's only my opinion. So we're starting off with Abigail, and I think it goes without saying that we have to put Abigail into the correct category because at the end of the day, she is our first legend. And she isn't exactly my type per se, but I know that she's really cool in general. And I think she is the type for a lot of people who play Stardew Valley. Everyone that I talk to, they really like Abigail. Just the way she acts and the way she looks and stuff. And the purple hair, of course. So we have to put that into legendary status. She's probably one of the best characters in Stardew Valley. Do you think that Abigail is actually the wizard's daughter and not Pierre's? Let me know in the comment section what you think. Do you go with that fan theory, or do you think it's just a theory? Alex is an interesting one. He's the typical jock who lives in the village and he thinks he's better than everybody. But as you get to know him, he seems to be a little bit more chill and likable. But still, I mean, it's like the stereotypic trope there. I think we're going to put Alex into Then we have Caroline. Caroline is kind of boring, but she gives you tea, and I like tea, so I think I'm going to have to put Caroline into they're okay. Clint is pretty useful in the village. He seems pretty chill as well. So I'm going to put him into interesting. I'm very tempted to put him into legend because I think he is kind of a legend, but he just won't give Emily the right gift and tell her that he likes her. So if you need me to be your wingman, Clint, just give me a call. I know everything that Emily likes, which is kind of weird actually now that I think about it. Demetrius, he's okay. I think we're going to put him into they're okay or I think if Alex is in then we're going to put Demetrius into simply because he's a smart guy, he's a nice guy, he gives out to you a little bit for talking to his daughter, so he's a bit of a pain in the ass that way, and he goes behind her back and starts talking to you about your intentions with her, so we're just going to put him into Then we have the dwarf, and the dwarf is kind of funny. They're I suppose okay as well. I'll put them into okay. They sell you some things. They have some interesting dialogue. They're dwarfs. You can't go wrong with dwarfs. But you don't really interact with the dwarf enough, I don't think, in the game. So we're going to leave him there on there okay. Elliot's okay. I mean, I don't really interact with him that much. I know that he's kind of a legend in the game. And he's kind of just like living on the beach by himself. He seems pretty chill. Doesn't seem to interact much with the other villagers. He feels like a bit of an outsider in that regard. He likes the secluded life on the beach. I think if he did a little bit more activity, he'd probably be in the legendary category. But we're going to put him into interesting, just behind Clint. Emily drives me crazy a little bit, but I think she is supposed to. She is that kind of person. She's friendly as hell, but she is just completely nuts. And I have to put her next to Clint. So I'll put her into interesting. Little old lady, Evelyn, I have to put her into interesting, I think. Maybe legend. Let's have a think about it. She's friendly, of course. She looks after her husband. She's very good around the village. And do you know what? When it comes to little old ladies can be one of two things. They can be either really friendly or really bloody annoying. And because she is friendly and not annoying in any way, in my experience, I think we're going to have to put Evelyn into legend category. Then we have George. He's a bit of a pain in the ass. He's a typical pain in the ass old man, but he has his reasons, of course, why he's like that. As a character, I suppose he is kind of up in the they're okay interesting category, but I don't classify him as a legend. I think we're gonna have to go for they're okay. Gus is cool. I think Gus could be even cooler if there was like room for extra dialogue with him where he does more around the village. Maybe they should have a beer fest or something once a year in Stardew Valley. Get on that concern date for 1.7, please. So I think we're going to put him into They're Okay, and we'll put him at the top of They're Okay actually, because he's cool. He's the barman and he takes care of every one of the evenings, and he puts on some good recipes for food. But yeah, we don't really get to interact with him too much. Then we have Haley, the village girly girl per se, stereotypical of course. And as you get to know her, she's very chill, of course, as well. But I think we're gonna have to put her into They're Okay. We'll put her just above Gus, I believe. I'm actually interested in Harvey in general. He's definitely like a really interesting character for Stardew Valley. I feel like we don't interact with him enough. I think it's because most of the time when we're playing Stardew Valley, we're trying to make as much money as possible. We don't have the time to interact with a lot of these characters, apart from when we're just giving them gifts and stuff. He's definitely an interesting character in terms of what he does in town, but he himself, I think he's really. Jas is boring, only because she's a child, really. I suppose there's very little she could do when it comes to interacting with an adult on a farm. And I think it's important that Stardew Valley has kids in the game, but of course they're boring. Jodie's an interesting one. She kind of represents the stay-at-home mom who's overwhelmed with the amount of work she has to do without any of the thanks for it. And it's a tough one because she has a sad kind of way of talking, but that also makes her interesting because she kind of fills in that storyline. Not everything has to be super happy and positive all the time to be interesting. I mean, so I'm gonna put her into interesting. I mean, Kent has a kind of cool story, and I like the way he comes in later on, and he's not there from the beginning. That's brilliant. But I still think him as a character and character progression, I think he's Krobos is probably one of my favorite characters in the game, but I think he's also the favorite character for a lot of people because he's cute and because he doesn't mean any harm whatsoever, but people are afraid of him. And you can't marry him, but you can move in with him, and that kind of takes up the slot of marriage, so you don't end up marrying someone else when you do that. I think we have to put Krobos into legendary status, honestly. And for me, I'm going to put Krobos at the top of legend, where he belongs. Leah's kind of cool. She kind of lives out in the woods by herself. She does a lot of sculpting. She knows her way around wood. And I just think in general, she's a cool character and everything. But I'm not sure if I would put her into the very high areas. I think she's probably the bottom of interesting. Lewis. He's a very interesting character. I have to put him into interesting. Not because he's a good character in terms of good or bad, but because he's an interesting character in terms of what he does. He's very sneaky. He's always trying to like take money from the tax pot, and he won't admit that he is in love with Marnie and that they're having a relationship. And yeah, he's trying to be sly all the time when he doesn't have to be. He's probably the representation of telling everybody, if you're more open with people, they'll be accepting of who you are, and you don't have to be sneaky all the time. Just come out with it and tell everyone. Linus is an interesting character. He lives on his own up in a tent. He's probably one of the purest characters in the game, and I think we have to put him into legend. Then we have Marnie. Marnie is selling us all of the animals in the game, and she's kind of interesting. She's in a secret relationship with Lewis, of course. She wants to come out, and all I can say is her sprite right here, her avatar, I suppose, looks so much different from the character that walks around town. She looks way younger here than she does in her little character that walks around. And I think we're going to put her into they're okay. And the reason why I'm putting her into they're okay is she's never bloody there to sell us what we want. And she's always off doing other things. Stay at work, for God's sake. Maru is very interesting. And the reason why she's interesting is because she's kind of a bit different from everybody else. And she is very smart. She's one of my favorite characters to interact with. She always seems to have stuff that's interesting to say. But she's not quite legendary status, I don't think, because not as many people find her as interesting as I do from the people I've been talking to. I think I'm going to put her into the interesting section just behind Emily. We have to leave Clint and Emily together. Pam is one of those people who you love to hate because she's drink driving. She's mean to Penny all the time. But she has a good heart deep down, and she's just trying, not her best, but she's just trying to get on with things. I think the fact that she's drink driving though means we're going to have to put her into because she shouldn't be doing that. And even if she's not drunk while driving, she's definitely hungover while driving. So we're going to have to put her into I wonder, guys, what do you think? Do you think she deserves her house upgrade in the game? What do you think in the comments? Penny is a very interesting character. I definitely have to put Penny into the interesting section. I actually think I'm going to put Penny at the top of interesting because Penny really tries her best to help out around the town. She's under a lot of pressure from her mother, and she doesn't have the best living situation. She loves books, and she's trying to improve herself every single day, kind of like a lot of us in real life. I definitely think we need to put her into interesting and very close to legendary, actually. She's almost a legend. Pierre. Pierre is an asshole in disguise, in my opinion. And he's got a very interesting character. But I think his actions throughout the game are very slimy. I think it's very similar to Mayor Lewis here. Just because he's doing things that are bad doesn't mean he's not an interesting character. He's interesting, but for the wrong reasons, I believe. So I'm going to put him into interesting category. Robin. Robin is cool at everything. She sells us some important stuff. She's never bloody there to sell us what we need, though. So that's annoying. But I think we're going to have to put Robin into they're okay. Simply because she's never bloody there. And she's not marryable, which kind of sucks. It's a pity that she's already taken her, because she definitely seems like someone that'd be interested to date. I think this is going to be one where we disagree a lot, because I'm actually going to put Sam into boring. And I find him boring. He has a very... He's cool in terms of his character, but he doesn't do enough. And I know that he kind of hangs around with the other lads, and it's fine, and I suppose I am putting Alex above him, which isn't very fair, but he just doesn't really provide much character throughout the game from what I've seen. I don't spend very much time with him, so maybe there's people in here who will leave a comment telling me that he has all of this background story. He's amazing. I just find him a bit boring, to be honest. Same with Sandy. I kind of find her a little bit boring. I think it's annoying that you have to go to the desert to talk to her. That's probably why I find her so boring. She's an interesting character. It's important that she's there in the desert. I'm pretty sure she is way more interesting than I give her credit for. But I'm going to put her into boring from my experience. Sebastian. Now, I would not be allowed to post this video on YouTube if I didn't put Sebastian into the legend category. He is an absolute legend of Stardew Valley. I think it just goes to show what type of people play Stardew Valley, of course, me included, obviously, based upon the fact that we have these 5 as our legends. And I don't think anyone would disagree with our 5 legends. You might disagree with some of the other stuff. Maybe there's another legend that needs to be in here. But in general, these are our 5 legends. And I don't think anyone would disagree. So just goes to show what kind of people we are. And yeah, Sebastian's cool, and he has a really good story. So I think legend of Stardew Valley. Sam is actually also a legend of Stardew Valley, but I do not find him as interesting as other people. So I'm actually going to just put him into there, okay, next to Haley. He has a kind of more interesting story than a lot of the other ones. I have to admit. But I just kind of find it boring. I don't really interact with him enough to do much more than learn that he likes to drink a lot and that he has a messy room and stuff. And no matter what you do, you're not going to be able to change Sam. So stop trying. Vincent, boring only because he's a kid. I think he'd be more interesting if he was an adult, and I'm pretty sure he does have a few lines that are kind of interesting. But at the end of the day, he is necessary for the game. I actually think there should be more kids in the game, but as a character, born. Willy. I think we are gonna have to put Willy into interesting. We'll just put him there. I was gonna put him into legend, but then I was thinking, nah, we're gonna put him in there. And the reason why is because he's a very important part of Stardew Valley. He's got an interesting story, but every one of these kind of games has a fisherman, and they all have the exact same backstory. His papa was a fisherman, and his papa before him, and he has memories of all of the fish that he caught when he was younger. So he's just filling the same story as every other fisherman in every other game. Him as a character though, he's kind of cool. So interesting. We have the wizard, and the wizard I'm going to put into there. Okay. I'll put him a little bit higher. He has a bit of a dark side per se, and he has a good kind of like side story. I enjoy that, but it's a pain in the ass having to go over and talk to him in his tower. It's cool that he's in the game. Don't get me wrong. The fact that there is a wizard in the game in the first place. And that's one of the reasons why Stardew Valley is so cool and so loved by everybody. But yeah, I think I'm going to have to put him into there. Okay. Now, as you can see, this template was in 2021. And that was before they added Leo into the game. So I'm just going to say to you, I find Leo a little bit boring, so I'd probably put him into boring, maybe the top of boring, and that's because he's a new character. He's been raised by parrots, and that's fun and everything. It's a good backstory, but I just find him boring in general, and we'll put him into boring. I think that everyone should play Stardew Valley at least once, if not multiple times, and everyone should buy the game. It is such a great game, and I think you can't go wrong with this bunch in front of you. Every one of them is actually interesting in their own way, even the boring ones. So that's my list. Let me know what you think. Go easy. I know there's a few in here that you probably would change. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one. Have a nice day.